So, that ghostly silhouette saw that his ambush didn't succeed. He didn't hesitate to immediately flee. Trying to flee? LuoFeng's eyes were cold, becoming a blur as he swiftly chased. Reaching the universe level 9, his speed was simply too fast, exceeding 300 kilometers in a second. One in front and one behind. In a flash they were already a few hundred km away, arriving above a large canyon. His speed isn't as fast as mine, however he's actually stepped into the gateway of the wind origin laws. His movements are very peculiar. It's a pity his comprehension is still very low. LuoFeng's eyes flashed with killing intent. As he flew above the canyon, his spirit energy connected to the universe space suddenly felt a ripple. Not good. LuoFeng's expression changed. At the bottom of the canyon, a 3-meter-tall warrior clad in full battle armor suddenly rushed out with 2 giant axes in his hands. His eyes were like copper bells as he roared, "Die!" Rumble. The 2 huge axes chopped down. Ha, who's afraid of who? Luo Feng held the blood shadow blade in his hand. He didn't dodge at all. His eyes were cold and fierce. His entire being seemed to be sleeping in mid-air as he flew downwards. At the same time he used the force of his descent to transfer all his strength to his right arm. The moment he moved his blade, he had already connected with the universe space laws and gold laws. The blade technique carried with it a sense of madness, chopping downwards. The muscular warrior below also fiercely brandished his giant axe and chopped over. Chi. Like a drill, his spirit energy immediately pierced into Luo Feng's consciousness, smashing against the incomparably sturdy void pagoda, causing it to slightly tremble. Obviously this attack was extremely strong, affecting Luo Feng's consciousness. Rumble. The blade and huge axe clashed. That warrior's innate godly strength accompanied his axe. It was extremely powerful. And Luo Feng's blade was the burial of the illusionary 7 blades. It was also a one-on-one fierce attack. Drawing upon the 2 origin laws, it was a pity his consciousness was affected at the crucial moment. That warrior's body trembled, his face flushed red as he spat out a mouthful of hot blood. The huge axe in his hand flew uncontrollably out of his hand. The axe was like a shooting star, flying and smashing into the mountain wall beside. Immediately it rumbled and countless rocks fell. His body fell down involuntarily, and the web between his thumb and forefinger of his right hand was completely torn. Trying to escape? Luo Feng held his ghost blade and madly chased after him. How is this possible? While Wu Qi was falling, he looked in shock at the silver-armored warrior who was diving down from above. He's also cloud-level pinnacle. In terms of speed he's even faster than Shadow. Moreover, after being ambushed by me he actually fought me head-on. Under the influence of Devil's mental attack, he actually managed to injure me. Is he a human or a ghost? Luo Feng flew down, his eyes as sharp as knives, staring at the majestic huge axe fighter below, wanting to take the chance to kill him. Shio. From below the canyon, a large amount of golden light immediately shot out, brushing past the sturdy fighter and piercing towards Luo Feng. Spirit weapon? Luo Feng's thoughts moved. Immediately, thousands of blades appeared before him, a black mass of countless blades. These were the simple blades Luo Feng had Babata create after his loss against Rock Wind Xiong. Even though these blades weren't very expensive spirit weapons, they were just sharp blades. However, Luo Feng, who had already glimpsed the essence of the universe space, even without the origin law engravings on the spirit weapons, he could still use the universe space laws. The engravings on the spirit weapons were only support, allowing one to unleash an attack more easily. And a true absolute warrior didn't need any support at all. With a thought, he could shatter the universe space. With a thought, he could reverse time. Luo Feng couldn't do it, but after all he had glimpsed the essence. Even without support, he could still unleash an attack infused with origin law energy. Of course, it was more taxing to unleash and its power was weaker. Absolute domain. Luo Feng stared at the large amount of golden light shooting over. The countless blades in front of him actually formed 11 black blade dragons. Each black dragon was formed by a large number of black blades, and they vaguely moved the universe space. These 11 dragons were like 11 ropes that pulled the entire space, causing the space to press down. Pa 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 pa. Countless golden lights slowed down sharply and were dispersed by the impact of the black blade dragons. However, the 11 black blade dragons continued to whiz downwards. First, they pounced on the majestic martial artist. Show mercy, we are from the Undying Shrine. A panicked voice resounded in Luo Feng's ears. Below the canyon, the blood-red-haired cold youth stood in mid-air, revealed a panicked expression. How can this be? He actually destroyed my spirit weapon. My spirit weapon was personally made by an Undying. His speed is faster than Shadow. He can even withstand demon spirit attack. He dares to clash head-on with that barbaric punk. He can even destroy my spirit weapon. Who is he? The cold youth was completely shocked. However, no matter how shocked he was, he still communicated to the other party to let his men go. We are from the Undying Shrine. Let Wu Qi go. 2 silhouettes flew down from above the canyon. One was the ghostly figure that tried to assassinate Luo Feng. The other was in a black uniform with a mask on his face. If you want to kill me, just kill me, and you still want me to let you go? Luo Feng used his spirit energy to control the 11 black blade dragons, immediately smashing into the terrified huge axe warrior who was trying to block, but was suppressed by the formless universe space, causing his body to explode, fresh blood flying everywhere. 11 black blade dragons swooped down and continued to pounce on the cold-looking young man with blood-red hair. Shwa. The cold youth was so shocked that a round plate appeared beneath his feet. immediately becoming a beam of light and fleeing. As the distance between the two was originally quite far, and the control range of the spirit weapon was limited, even though the 11 black blade dragons were shockingly powerful, without any origin law engravings to support them, it was extremely taxing for Luo Feng to control them. Quickly flee. The ghostly figure and the black uniformed youth in the canyon, a universe ship appeared before them, swiftly entering it and flying away. Damn. What are these people's backgrounds? Luo Feng saw the situation and floated in midair, extremely shocked. One punk has an attack spirit weapon and a flying spirit weapon. Even in our universe, it's considered a truly exceptional spirit weapon. And he actually has a universe ship with him, obviously much better than the ship of the Undying Shrine envoys. At least the acceleration is much faster. Luo Feng waved his hand and the 11 black blade dragons swiftly vanished. Luo Feng swiftly descended, landing on the canyon floor. On the ground were the remains of the tall and sturdy warrior. Space storage equipment. Luo Feng discovered the warrior's space wrist guard and immediately grabbed it. Something's not right, these 4 universe level 9s are all too strong, one of them is as fast as a specter, even stepping into the wind origin laws. Stepping into the gateway of the origin laws at the universe level, one would be an absolute genius in the universe. One spirit attack was able to shake my void pagoda. And that big brute, he could take one of my blades and not die. And that controller below, his control of his spirit weapon isn't weak either. Peculiar. A place like Blood River Continent, how can there suddenly be so many geniuses? I'll leave first and slowly investigate. Luo Feng didn't dare get careless, immediately becoming a blur and swiftly heading towards the depths of the ancient god ruins. Anyway, the ancient god ruins were vast and boundless, he could roam freely. High up in the clouds. 3 silhouettes were gathered in mid-air, it was the specter from before, the black uniformed man and the blood-red long-haired cold youth. However, at this time, these 3 no longer had the arrogance from before, they were all extremely shocked. How is he so powerful? The voice from the specter was softer, it was obviously a woman's voice. We are all the most elite geniuses of the Undying Shrine from all over Blood River Continent. Right now, we've come to the ancient god ruins for life and death training. The 4 of us working together, against a similarly pinnacle cloud-level youth. We actually, 4 against 1 and we still can't even fight back. The cold youth shook his head. Too vicious, too strong, ridiculously strong. He stepped into the gold origin laws, and is proficient in the space origin laws. Also, his spirit weapon obviously doesn't have any origin law engravings, yet its power is even stronger than mine. Strong. Very strong. The masked black uniformed youth said solemnly. My spirit attack actually didn't affect him at all. He still managed to heavily injure Wu Qi with 1 slash. The 3 of them were all shocked. They were all geniuses, the elite geniuses of Blood River Continent, nurtured by the Undying Shrine. Even their positions were higher than the envoys of the Undying Shrine. Geniuses were geniuses, they too had life and death training. There's always someone stronger, we can't be arrogant. There are many geniuses on Blood River Continent that haven't been discovered. Today's one is very strong. Let's continue the life and death training. The Undying Shrine's life and death training requirement for these geniuses was, they had to absorb 3 Blood River crystals before they could return to the shrine. Otherwise they would die within the ancient god ruins. The 4 people dealing with Luo Feng were the absolute geniuses of Blood River Continent. As Blood River Continent didn't have the virtual universe network, hence the information exchange and gathering of geniuses was very difficult. Many absolute geniuses were buried and never discovered. Only when they truly became strong warriors would they be discovered. At that time, they would have already wasted the best time for nurturing. Compared to those 4, Luo Feng was the entire human race in the vast universe. Through the virtual universe network he competed time and time again. Trillions of geniuses went through the elimination process, using battle after battle to prove himself, finally making it to the universe's top 10. And now he was recognized as an absolute genius second only to Bolin. He had even studied for 30 years in Primal Chaos City in the Primal Universe. How could those 4 compare to him? Luo Feng wandered aimlessly within the endless ancient god ruins, advancing and training. There were many places with thick killing aura, there was no need to be trapped in one place. Half a month later. Luo Feng stood on a 10,000 m tall mountain, looking into the distance, there was an incomparably huge crater. What a huge crater. I've seen many huge craters before, most of them were 100 kilometers in diameter, and they all had their own rules. Why is this crater so ridiculously huge? It's probably close to 10,000 kilometers in diameter. Let's go take a look. Luo Feng's training was originally to investigate the mysterious ancient god ruins. At this time he couldn't help but fly curiously towards the huge crater. A huge crater with a diameter of close to 10,000 kilometers? What kind of concept was that? Throwing the moon and could barely cover the bottom. Luo Feng stood at the edge of the crater and felt a strange energy rush towards him. That energy was forceful, ancient, crazy. What thick killing aura. Luo Feng looked over. This crater was so deep that he couldn't see the bottom. Before, when he was standing on a 100,000 m tall mountain, he could barely make out the edge of the crater. However, now that he was standing at the edge, looking into the distance, he couldn't see the end at all. This crater is indeed a good place. It's deep and immeasurable, the killing aura is thick. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed and revealed a smile. I can actually build a place for myself in this crater and train for a long period of time. During this half a month, the reason why he didn't have a place to stay and had been casually traveling was mainly because of the 4 universe level 9 geniuses he met half a month ago. He had killed one and acquired his storage item. After checking carefully, he realized the dead warrior also had a universe ship and a communication device. And Babata had hacked into the communication device and discovered the contents of the communication. From the contents he could deduce, the dead warrior was called Wu Qi, an elite genius nurtured by the Undying Shrine. A genius nurtured by the Undying Shrine? Who knows what powerful warriors might come and find trouble with me? Luo Feng thought that way back then. Blood River Continent wasn't his home. He even broke through the 18 cloud levels and sat in the automaton ship, flying for tens of billions of km before stopping. I too need a stable place to stay for a long time to study my 9 universe tablet. Luo Feng immediately jumped down from the edge of the huge pit, whistling downwards. The killing aura is really heavy. Good place, good place. Luo Feng was filled with glee. He allowed the gravity to pull him down. After descending for close to 1,000 kilometers, he finally stopped. Looking at the wall beside him, Luo Feng nodded. I'll dig a place in the wall of the crater. As for the bottom? Who knew how deep this crater was? When he had the time, he would go take a look. Luo Feng could be considered to have settled down in this gigantic pit. With his abilities, he easily dug out a huge space that was 100 meters wide and 10 meters tall. Moreover, he had specially decorated the place, carving some of the rocks into sculptures and decorating the walls, making it look like a normal residence. Luo Feng proudly named this place the Huge Pit Quarters. There was a deep tunnel in the residence of the huge pit that led to the edge of the cliff. The silver-armored Luo Feng and Masha Luo Feng sat crossed-legged on the rock bed. Yes, his main body and the Masha clansman were both in the outside world. After all, the Masha clansman was extremely sensitive to the universe space. As long as a powerful warrior got close, he would be able to sense it. Also, at crucial times, the Masha Luo Feng could act as a bodyguard. This ancient god ruins baleful chi is really good for the body. Luo Feng suddenly stood up. Beside him, the Masha Luo Feng immediately vanished into the internal world. Only my earth body and the Masha clansman's training paths are very clear, but what should my golden horned beast train? Deities of the world and absolute space were obviously important, however the golden horned beast lacked a battle technique. There were many techniques in his inherited memories. Even before coming to Blood River World, Luo Feng had been considering this problem. Even Babata had only helped select 12 techniques for Luo Feng to choose. However, the choice was simply too difficult. Luo Feng had only picked out 3 techniques. They were 8 Shadow Hunt, Tearing Heaven and Earth and Golden Horn. These 3 techniques were all very powerful. Luo Feng's idea was to let the golden horned beast try training all 3 and see the effects. He would see which one he was proficient in. The 3 great secret techniques were all close-range secret techniques. Hunting Shadow 8 focused on movement. Tearing Sky and Land focused on blood and slaughter. Golden Horn focused on one-hit kill. Although the emphasis was placed on these 3 secret techniques, they all had various aspects such as movement techniques, one-hit kill attacks and bloody slaughter. How troublesome. Sometimes with endless choices in front of you, it's also a troublesome thing. Luo Feng exclaimed. After saying these words, he couldn't help but laugh. These words were simply too infuriating. Even the absolute geniuses of the Virtual Universe Company had to use points to exchange for techniques. Unlike the golden horned beast, randomly choosing from his inherited memories. I can't be too happy, otherwise I'll be unlucky. I have to be humble. Luo Feng, who was in a good mood, humming a tune as he followed the pathway outside the mansion to the edge, nearing the cliff. Sitting at the entrance, Luo Feng looked at the endless abyss below, and the endless thick aura before him. He didn't think about anything else, completely relaxing. Luo Feng frowned as he looked at the distant aura. The entire huge pit was shockingly huge. The thick aura within naturally flowed, forming all sorts of images, sometimes forming very realistic images. At this time, in Luo Feng's vision, in the distance, a blurry image that was at least 100 kilometers wide appeared. Faintly. It was a picture of a huge lizard. The only difference from a real lizard was that it had a sharp horn that shot into the sky. At the same time, it was sturdier, its claws thicker. Within that blurry image, a huge palm descended from the sky, and the monster in the image that was about 100 kilometers long raised its head and pounced at the same time. At the same time, its long lizard tail quickly danced and fiercely whipped the huge palm. Rumble. The image dissipated, the aura slowly flowed, no longer forming that realistic image. This. Luo Feng stared wide-eyed, the images from before flashing through his mind. That beast's movements were mainly pouncing, waving its long tail, and that tail actually smashed that heaven and earth-like palm until it completely dissipated. Pouncing. Tail swinging. Luo Feng, who has been training 8-level hunting Shadow, Tearing Sky and Splitting Land, and Golden Horn, instantly had quite a bit of comprehension flowed into his mind. Consciousness was shared, whatever one body understood, the other 2 would too. The golden horned beast's training naturally meant Luo Feng's training. This definitely isn't a natural phenomenon. There's no way a simple image can contain such profound laws. Yes, profound beyond comprehension. Just that simple pouncing and tail swinging in Luo Feng's mind, it was almost as though that tail swinging could split the heavens and earth. Its power was unbelievable. This isn't a natural phenomenon. Luo Feng suddenly thought back to when he was high in the sky. He saw many huge pits in the ancient god ruins, almost like the footprints of an absolute beast. This made his mind flash, his eyes gleaming. That huge pit should have been left behind countless years ago. It could very well be the legendary battle between the Virtual Universe Company and the Aboriginals of Blood River World, left behind by a certain beast. Then? That blurry image just now, could it be a battle scene from back then? Luo Feng pondered. In terms of experience, Luo Feng's was already high enough. The battle scene in the picture before definitely surpassed the battle scenes of Undyings. Because in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng had personally seen 2 Undyings battle, and had also seen his teacher Tru Yen demonstrate. Only from the feeling, it didn't even compare to that ferocious beast and that huge palm. Palm? Luo Feng stared wide-eyed. Huge palm. Luo Feng's mind seemed to be struck by lightning. Back then in Primal Chaos City, the 2 Undying warriors battled, and in an instant the universe space stopped moving, the origin laws of the universe stopped working, and a huge palm slapped the 2 Undying warriors into dust. Even though the 2 of them reformed their bodies, they were heavily injured. Primal Chaos City leader's palm? Right, that's the feeling. Luo Feng nodded. However, it doesn't seem as terrifying as the city leader. When the city leader made a move, everything in the universe space seemed to submit to his control. And that blurry image, Luo Feng could only see a little. Pouncing. Tail flick. Brilliant, brilliant. Luo Feng didn't think any further, grasping the time to comprehend what he had before. The more he comprehended, the better he felt. This pounce and tail whip caused Luo Feng's understanding of tearing sky and splitting land to soar by a huge amount. Tearing sky and splitting land is a close combat technique. Tearing sky refers to a claw attack, while splitting land refers to a tail whip attack. Of course, this is the simplest and most casual way to describe it. However, looking at this ancient picture, Luo Feng was filled with confidence towards training tearing sky and land. I'll choose this, the Golden Horned Beast's battle technique, tearing sky and land. Luo Feng made his decision, his eyes gleaming, looking at the distant endless aura flow, anticipating, I wonder if I can see more pictures. Since then, even though Luo Feng was training in the mansion, the Masha clansman had become a rock at the entrance of the cave, carefully observing the aura flow within. 1 day, 2 days. 1 month, 2 months. 1 year. The Masha clansman had observed for 2 months before discovering 3 pictures, including the first picture. And after that, observing for a long time, the pictures he occasionally saw were all repeats of the first 3, there were no more new pictures. Of the 3 images, the first image was the giant palm descending from the sky. A monster swung its tail and slapped the palm away. The second picture, the beast lowered its head, its golden horn facing forward, swiftly charging. It was a simple head-on collision scene. The third picture, the beast fiercely waved its claw, smashing it. Haha, I've succeeded, I've succeeded. Virtual Universe, Absolute Beginning Villa 1136, Luo Feng was in his own training grounds. He was studying floating blood and time-space scribbles to study the 9 universe tablets drizzle picture, finally comprehending the 12th wonder. First to 9th, they belonged to the most basic 9, he had successfully comprehended them in Primal Chaos City. The 10th and 11th was to study the time-space scribbles, using the comprehension he had accumulated in Primal Chaos City to achieve a breakthrough. After that, Luo Feng hadn't been able to comprehend the 12th wonder. Only after 2 years of training in this ancient pit did he finally comprehend it. It's really difficult. My consciousness's calculation speed is already comparable to a basic quantum computer. And my comprehension is considered high, yet I've only comprehended the 12th today. Luo Feng exclaimed. The first 9, the middle 27 and the last 72. Of these 27, I've only comprehended 3. When will I be able to comprehend them all? He muttered, however within he was elated. Prying into the essence of the universe space laws, how could it be so easy? It required extreme comprehension, temperament and talent. Even that genius Lian Luo had to spend 3,000 years in Primal Chaos City to comprehend it. Of course the most time-consuming part was the last 72 wonders. Achum. 2 years I've been training in this ancient pit for 2 years. My earth body has been changing by the killing aura every day. Compared to before, my improvement should be huge. 3 months ago I tried to absorb the second crystal and still failed. Now that 3 months have passed, I might succeed. Luo Feng, who was in a good mood, immediately decided. Today he would try absorbing the crystal again. Schwa. His consciousness vanished and he returned to reality. Blood River Continent, within a certain huge pit in the vast ancient god ruins. Within the huge pit quarters. The Masha clansman sat crossed-legged there. As for his earth body, he was in the internal world. Absorbing the crystal had no way to control his body, hence it was better to stay in the internal world. Internal world. Luo Feng was only in his underwear. He laid at the foot of a metal mountain, his right hand holding the crystal. Chi. His right index finger sliced his left palm, a wound appeared and fresh blood flowed out. Let's begin. Luo Feng once again placed the crystal on the wound. This was already the 5th time he tried absorbing the second crystal, and the other 4 times had all failed. As the frenzied killing intent attacked his soul, that familiar feeling once again descended upon him. His bones, muscles and cells were rapidly changing. Endure it. You must endure it. Don't collapse. Luo Feng anticipated within. Even though the terrifying pain was transmitted to his soul, he could still endure it. The blood-red threads within the crystal continuously flowed into Luo Feng's body. Gradually the crystal became transparent. Luo Feng's body's changes gradually became more intense. Qi. The entire blood river crystal, including the crystal itself that had already become transparent, immediately melted into a peculiar energy and entered Luo Feng's body. Immediately the seemingly simple blood-red engravings on his chest had a few more engravings, doubling in number, causing the engravings to not be too simple anymore. His entire body returned to normal, and the blood-red engravings had also disappeared. That mysterious power had completely concealed itself in the depths of every cell in his body. Luo Feng swiftly stood up. I've succeeded, I've really succeeded. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with glee. He had tried it 4 times before and every time it was incomparably painful. The pain didn't matter, but he had always failed. He didn't expect to finally succeed today. The feeling of absorbing 2 crystals. Luo Feng's thoughts moved, activating the peculiar energy within his body. Immediately a blood-red engraving appeared on his chest. Luo Feng revealed a look of glee. It feels different, obviously different. My reaction to the Universe 9 origin laws has become much clearer. Luo Feng's palm became a blade, unleashing the illusionary 7 blades. This made him even more surprised. The compatibility with the Universe origin laws has obviously raised my power by quite a bit. Luo Feng was delighted within. Absorbing the first crystal already raised my power by 20 to 30%, and now it's risen by another 20 to 30%. This is to say, just because of the 2 crystals, the same comprehension, my attack power has increased by 50%. In a life and death battle, a 50% increase in power completely determined life and death. Especially when one was close to the limit, it was harder to raise. The golden horned beast's natural ability strengthening only doubled its strength, and that was already heavenly. The training of deities of the world was so harsh because its effects were too heavenly. Let me try and see if I can absorb the 3rd crystal. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Even though he knew the chances weren't high, he still wanted to try. When he tried to absorb the 3rd crystal, the killing aura willpower combined with the killing aura willpower that had infiltrated his body over the past 2 years, forming an incomparably terrifying killing aura willpower. However, in terms of willpower alone, Luo Feng could still take it. These 2 years he had been living in a place with thick killing aura. Constantly enduring the killing aura willpower's influence, Luo Feng's state of mind had become even more condensed. The willpower attack was easily blocked by Luo Feng. The 3rd crystal began to have blood-red threads that flowed through the wound on his palm and into his body. Pung. Pung. Luo Feng's skin immediately had 12 spots explode, almost like a bamboo that had long been pushed to its limits. With another push, it immediately began to crack. One theory. Luo Feng had already reached his limit after absorbing 2 crystals. Now that he was trying to absorb the 3rd, his body couldn't take it at the start. One had to know the further he went, the higher the demands on his body would be by 10 times. Damn. Looking at the recovered crystal in his palm, Luo Feng could only helplessly swiftly heal his body. It's alright, I'm already very satisfied with absorbing the 2nd crystal. I'll continue to work hard. In this place I can absorb the crystals and also train my willpower. Of course I have to continue staying here. Luo Feng smiled. Normal dangerous level missions only gave 10,000 to 20,000 points. Completing a few dangerous level missions would only give him tens of thousands of points. As long as he became a blood warrior and received the Blood River medal, that would give him 100k points. What's more, absorbing the 3rd crystal was very beneficial to his body too. Absolute beginning region. Wuka's villa. Normally when Luo Feng, Rongjun and Wuka met, they would meet at the Manka Prince's residence. Wah Luo Feng, you training madman. The moment I called for you, you came. That's really shocking. Wuka leisurely laid on the sofa, his legs knocking on the table before him. If a madman's actions don't shock you, then he wouldn't be called a madman. Luo Feng smiled, lying on the sofa too. Wuka, why haven't you taken out your good wine? It's rare for me to visit you. Since I'm here, you have to act like a host. The wine in the virtual universe costs money too. Wuka stood up helplessly. It was because the virtual universe was like real life, hence Ping Hai Company's food and beverage business could earn so much money. Rong Jun besides smiled. You need money? Wuka, our great Manka Prince, this bit of money to you, what does it mean? Damn you 2 punks, back then one was a madman and the other a barbarian. Only I was a simple youth. I didn't expect that after such a long time, I would finally see through your hearts. Both of you are so cunning. As Wuka spoke, he took out a rainbow jade bottle from the cabinet beside him. This bottle was transparent and had a faint smell that made one's entire body tremble. Hee hee. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Wow, Wuka, what a brother. Rong Jun smiled too. This is God drunk. Even though it's the virtual universe God drunk, it's still exactly the same as drinking it in real life. However, a bottle of drunk God in the real world would cost 8,000 mixed elements. And here I only spent 8 mixed elements. Wuka said proudly. Luo Feng shouted, buying 1 life fruit, 2 mixed elements is enough. This wine is already luxurious enough, stop showing off. Hurry up and hand it over, I'm drooling. Rong Jun stood up to snatch it. Don't rush, I'll pour. Wuka sat down and began to pour for the 3. Although it was called God drunk, it wasn't really about fainting from being drunk. It was just a feeling that made one's consciousness produce an incomparably beautiful feeling, completely affecting one's soul. Good wine. Luo Feng closed his eyes. Nice. Rong Jun tasted it and opened his eyes, immediately reaching for the bottle. I'll pour. When are you going to buy a bottle in real life? That's extravagant. Wukka muttered. Your Majesty, you are vicious. Luo Feng smiled. We don't have money. Rongjun said. Wukka looked at Rongjun. Rongjun, these 2 years you've done so many missions, just the points alone should be in the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of points? Exchanging for a bottle of God drunk in real life is definitely not a problem. If you're willing, even the Undyings will trade with you. Right, Luo Feng? Wukka looked at Luo Feng. Are you still stuck in that training mission? It's not that I want to criticize you, but wasting time is a waste of strength. Right now, who isn't grasping the time to train themselves? If you can't complete it, just give up. Take another training mission. How can I give up? Every 100 years I can at most take 10 missions, I can't just give up on any of them. Rongjun emphasized. Take 10 missions every 100 years? Luo Feng looked at Rongjun. Where did you get the news from? I just took the 5th mission and received a notification, telling me that I'm only allowed to take 10 missions every 100 years. This is to prevent the core members from risking their lives to earn points, wasting too much time taking on missions. After all, training, along with studying, are all very important. Rongjun explained. Luo Feng nodded. No matter, madman, you're stuck in one mission, that's not good. Wukka said. Wukka is right. Rongjun nodded. Luo Feng laughed involuntarily. You two punks, why you think I'm wasting time on this and my strength isn't improving enough? Today I'm thinking of going to the Heavenly Bridge and show you. Heavenly Bridge? Rongjun and Wukka looked shocked at Luo Feng. 6th level? Virtual Universe, Heavenly Bridge. In the center of the beautiful island, Watchman Bevan was doing his job, however he suddenly saw 3 silhouettes appear simultaneously on the island. Luo Feng, Rongjun, Wukka, you 3 came together? There's no one on the 9 Universe Heavenly Bridge. However, Rongjun, Wukka, the 2 of you are from the Hujak sect. There's only one bridge, you guys decide who goes first. The Watchman Bevan smiled at Luo Feng and the other 2. Rongjun and Wukka shook their heads. It's not us, we don't want to pass the bridge now, it's Luo Feng, that madman. Wukka said. Right, it's Luo Feng, he wants to pass the 6th level. Rongjun smiled. Lord Bevan, we want to watch the broadcast, is that alright? Luo Feng, what do you say? Watchman Bevan looked at Luo Feng. Sure. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Rongjun and Wukka were the closest to him amongst this batch of geniuses. Watching the broadcast was nothing. Rongjun, Wukka, watch. Luo Feng smiled and became a blur, flying into the 9 Universe Bridge. 9 Universe Bridge's 6th level. Amidst the howling winds, Luo Feng stood on the bridge, looking at the tornado before him, closing his eyes and adjusting himself to his best state. Choose your opponent, fighter, controller, hypnotist, pick one and defeat it to enter the 7th level. A voice resounded from within the tornado. Controller. Luo Feng didn't hesitate. Immediately a silhouette swiftly flew out of the tornado, still dressed in silver and standing on the dark cloud shuttle, carrying a dark golden long rod on his back. His masked face looked coldly at Luo Feng. A Universe Level 9 wants to pass the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level? You were defeated in one move the last time, you seem pretty confident in such a short period of time. Of course. Luo Feng nodded. Shwa. The dark golden long rod behind him seemed to have transformed into a sun, large amounts of golden light shot out, covering the sky and covering the land. Close to 3,000 little golden blades immediately formed in mid-air, forming 36 golden blades that were about a foot long, and as these 36 blades floated in front of Luo Feng, they swiftly merged into one. Countless golden threads intertwined, perfectly fusing together. In that instant, a seemingly ancient dark golden long blade floated before Luo Feng. Nan Shen Armament's 5th stage, Spatial Cleavage. In reality, when he had comprehended the 10th and 11th profundities, the reason why he was unable to use the Nan Shen Armament to the 5th level was mainly because his comprehension of the origin source law of metal was lagging behind. And in these 2 years, the Golden Horn Beast had started to research the battle technique tearing sky and land. Combining it with the 3 ancient pictures, its improvement speed was shocking. Unleashing the 5th stage of the Nan Shen Armament was no longer difficult. Very good, you can also use the 5th level? However, even though they are both at the 5th level, their might not be the same. The silver-robed man laughed. At the same time, the dark golden staff behind him also emitted a large amount of golden light. It quickly combined into a dark golden longsword that hovered beside him. The 2 of them faced each other from afar. Their eyes met. Absolute domain. Space slicer. LuoFeng's eyes were cold, immediately unleashing his strongest move. Go. The silver-armored man pointed at Luo Feng. Shio. 2 dark golden beams of light pierced through the air. The silver-armored man's dark golden beams were shockingly fast. Even now, in terms of pure speed, Luo Feng's dark golden long blade was still slightly weaker than the opponent's. Not only was it fast, its flight was incomparably unpredictable. The Nan Shen Armament's 5th level space slicer emphasized both speed and power. The silver-armored man unleashed the most standard version of the Nan Shen Armament's 5th level. The silver-armored man unleashed the standard version, while Luo Feng's was obviously very special. Luo Feng's dark golden long blade used the 12 wonders as its foundation, triggering the entire universe space's pressure. Simultaneously, he infused his 2 years of studying the ancient pictures, studying tearing sky and land, his understanding of the gold origin laws into it. This made the dark golden long blade even more incomparably sharp and powerful. One was speed and power. The other was the space pressure and power. Cheek. When the two dark golden long blades shot out and were about to clash, the silver-armored man's dark golden long blade's speed obviously decreased, almost as though it was being pressured by a formless force. And Luo Feng's dark golden long blade was infused with the entire universe space's support, pressing forward. The dark golden long blade became a beam of light. As it knocked away the opponent's weapon, it pierced through his head. 6th level. Inflexible, you don't know how to adapt. Luo Feng smiled. These 2 years I've been studying the time-space scribbles to study the 9-universe tablet. That drizzle picture can only be considered to have reached 80 points. Your execution should be considered to have reached 100 points in the drizzle picture, the power you can unleash. It's a pity you still lost to me. That time in Primal Chaos City I comprehended, the raindrop picture and drizzle picture are incomparably perfect as one. That's because, comprehending the essence, using it as a framework to connect with the entire universe space, that's the path. From using space to affecting space, this is an improvement in the essence. Luo Feng smiled, immediately flying upwards towards the 7th level. Heavenly Bridge, center of the island. Rong Jun and Wuko were shocked as they watched the scene on the screen. Success. Rong Jun's eyes were filled with shock. How is this possible? Wuko couldn't believe it. It's only been 2 years. And it's been 2 years outside, my training speed can't catch up to Primal Chaos City. In theory, the higher the level, the more time it would take to clear the Heavenly Bridge. And the comprehension speed outside wasn't as fast as in Primal Chaos City. They estimated that Luo Feng would have to wait 10 years outside before he could pass the 6th level. This was one of the more reasonable ones in their imagination. It was a pity only those that were unreasonable were called geniuses. That was a madman. Time-space scribbles, tearing sky and land along with the 3 ancient pictures, along with his own comprehension of the 9-universe tablet, these allowed him to break through in a short 2 years. Heavenly Bridge 7th level. Space. Luo Feng flew on the 7th level, feeling dreamy, because before him was no longer the raging winds, but the endless space. This 7th level was actually within the space scenery. Luo Feng finally reached the end of the 7th level. There floated a small meteorite with a diameter of a few kilometers. A voice resounded from it, choose your opponent, fighter, controller, hypnotist, pick one and defeat him to pass the 7th level. Controller. Luo Feng shouted, anticipating within. This 7th level opponent, what kind of attack would he unleash? Still a dark golden long blade? Or even higher? All of a sudden, one of the meteorites in front of him broke off, and the piece of rock tumbled across the surface of the Azure Bridge before transforming into a masked being in a suit of blue battle armor. The being was riding a dark cloud shuttle with a dark golden staff strapped to his back. Universe level 9 youth, to be able to reach this stage, congratulations. I hope you can pass my level. The blue armored man's voice sounded old. Luo Feng didn't hesitate, immediately controlling the Nan Shen Armament to form a dark golden long blade that floated before him. Not bad. The man in blue walked down from the dark cloud shuttle and onto the bridge. At the same time, the dark golden staff on his back instantly shot out an almost infinite amount of golden light. Almost instantly, the entire sky changed color. The bridge, the starry sky and everything else disappeared. Only endless sword chi could be seen circling around. Luo Feng's expression changed. This is the Blade World? Nan Shen Armament 6th level. Blade World. According to the Nan Shen Armament's every level, to jump from the 5th to the 6th, the difficulty was extremely high. It could be said that the 5th to 6th stage as well as the 8th to 9th stage were the hardest stages of the Nan Shen Armament. Actually, one could tell from the amount of little golden blades used. The 5th level Space Slicer used 2,916 little golden blades. The 6th level Blade World used 5,832 little golden blades, a whole double. One had to know the entire dark golden long rod only had a total of 10,081 little golden blades. The later levels weren't as exaggerated as this one.